I have a question, and it's this. Is your biography your identity? Is your biography your identity? John O'Donoghue, the great Irish philosopher poet, has written that our age has reduced identity to biography. And then, with reference to Meister Eckhart, states his understanding that identity is a more sublime and eternal presence. Identity is a more sublime and eternal presence. The idea here is that you and I are much more than our biographies. We're more than our life experiences and stories. There are elevated and ageless dimensions within each of us, which point to a deeper vital force or essence within, which is calling out to be recognized. We are so much more than we think we know. That's the point. We're more than we think we know. It's my good fortune to live in a very quiet condominium complex overlooking a rather large pond surrounded by carefully cultivated gardens, like lucky me. It's a place of peace and tranquility. Usually. For one evening, not long ago, the serenity was shattered by the loudest music I've ever heard coming from a condominium several floors above me. The music was so deafening that I couldn't hear the television. The sensory bombardment went on and on until I went outside to investigate, see what's going on, what's causing the noise. Unbelievable. I soon learned that a 60th birthday, 60th birthday was being celebrated. And the birthday boy, I was told, I was grateful not to have seen this sight, was apparently dressed up as Elvis and dancing around his living room, hence the loud music as he performed. Well, bless him, and I hope he had a good time. But I have a question from my neighbor, which I'm never going to ask. However, the question would be, on that important day in his life, was there ever a moment in it when he felt himself to be a more sublime and eternal presence? Did he ever have a moment like that on his special day? I hope he wasn't Elvis Presley the whole livelong day. On the Elvis impersonator's birthday, I hope there were moments when he enjoyed a reflective and intimate conversation with someone about what he's learned in his 60 years on the planet and what he has become as a man. A main current in the thinking of Thomas Merton was that much of the time we're all pretending to be something we're not. Maybe not Elvis, but some other manufactured persona. We're all great fakes, thought Thomas Merton, and every one of us is shadowed by what he called an illusory person, a false self. It's all too often this spurious self which is on display at the social bash, or for that matter, wherever human beings gather. Merton calls the packaged presentation the illusory person, a false and private self who wants to exist outside the reach of God's will and God's love, outside of reality and outside of life. Such a self, says Merton, cannot help but be an illusion. Merton then goes on to say that for most people in our world, there is no greater subjective reality than this false self of theirs, which cannot exist. A life devoted to the cult of the shadow is what is called a life of sin. So that surface self, says Thomas Merton, is but a shadow of something more real. It's false and illusory. There's a hidden substance beneath the surface appearance. Inside every human being, there is unmined, buried treasure. The inner treasure, according to Meister Eckhart, is a dimension of the soul that neither time nor flesh nor any created thing can touch. And we have, says Eckhart, an eternal inheritance. And we are the custodians of infinite thresholds. So here's a deeper identity, which is so much more than we ordinarily or usually believe ourselves to be. We're indeed more than the life we've lived. We are an identity more than our particular biographies. According to Eckhart, and this is being expressed, interpreted through John O'Donohue, there is a place in the soul that is eternal. Time makes you old, says O'Donohue, but there's a place in the soul that time cannot touch, which, he says, is a lovely thing to know about yourself. Even though time will inscribe your face, weaken your limbs, make your movements slower, and finally end your life, nevertheless, there is still a place in your spirit that time can never get near. So you are, says O'Donohue, as young as you feel. If you begin to feel the warmth of your soul, there will be a youthfulness in you that no one will ever be able to take away from you. So O'Donohue is so encouraging here. He's encouraging the seeker to inhabit the internal side of your life. It would be sad, he says, on your journey through life to miss out on this eternal presence around you and within you. It would indeed be lamentable to live a life in conformity with modern culture's measures of identity. For this culture measures the worth or value of a human being in terms of its ideology of strength and image. Our society is all about the outward show, so that, for instance, the idea of beauty has been reduced to good looks. The pressure is to be noticed and applauded by measures of externality, image, and speed. Whereas in contrast, says O'Donohue, real beauty is a light that comes from the soul. Real beauty is a light that comes from the soul. But we may have trouble believing that hidden beneath the surface is a domain of beauty, of light, and indeed of joy. So we focus externally and neglect to look within. A meditation teacher has said that it's hard to recognize spiritual joy, this inner dimension of joy, when all of your past experience has come through the senses from the excitement of a desire fulfilled. Nevertheless, it's possible, she says, to experience a joy within that exists without dependency, a joy that exists without dependency. She calls it a joy that is whole, a joy that is everlasting, a joy that never decays, a joy that is free from likes and dislikes, a joy that places itself in the service of God, that never leaves his presence for a second, a joy that is contagious, that is giving, a perfect joy that really does exist in everyone's heart. Now, even the meditation master I'm quoting from struggled against the possibility of deep joy in her own life. She was being taught at one point that she was a temple of joy, but she didn't believe it. She was being taught to turn within. You've got everything, she was told. Look inside. Her teacher was saying to her and to the other students to cultivate the awareness, I am perfect, I am pure, I am bliss, I am love. So as this meditation teacher says, as Guru Mai says, I remember an intensive my teacher gave in 1980. He talked about God, or Shiva, as the inner presence in each human being, the deepest, lightest, most vibrant part of us. And he said, have this awareness. Repeat it to yourself. I am Shiva. I am perfect. I am pure. I am love. Now, she says on one particular day when he was teaching this, on that day I wasn't exactly, she says, in a sensational state. So every time my teacher said, have this awareness, I am Shiva, I am pure, I kept telling myself, no, I'm not. I thought, That's not what I feel, and I'm not going to fake it. Her teacher kept repeating, have this awareness. I am Shiva. I am love. And I kept thinking, oh no, not again. Can't he understand? Everyone's heard him. Everybody's got it. I don't want to hear it again. That day, it seemed he just couldn't stop. He kept saying it over and over, and I kept feeling more and more horrible. See, I knew it. That's not for me, at least not today. Finally, after what seemed like eons, I suddenly found myself hearing the same words spoken inside me. I am Shiva. The word started ringing inside of me, and yet this word and other words were also beyond me, beyond my mind, beyond my state. They grew stronger and stronger, resonating through my entire being. I am the self. I am perfect. I am love. I am Shiva. Hearing this, I went into deep meditation. And that's my experience through meditation practice. The other day I meditated for a couple of times, and when I sat for meditation, I had that sense of going beyond me, beyond my mind, beyond my state. Through meditation, there is a journey inward that leads into a felt sense of expansion and a sense of transcendence. I'm relieved of troubles and of tearing thoughts. I continue to be astonished at the power of meditation after all of these years. Certainly, therefore, there is a sense, I believe, that we are much more than our biographies. There are unfathomable depths to each of us that can be explored in deep meditation. We simply are beings of infinite, limitless depth. So in light of that, in light of what I've said today, you can expect not to hear from me on my 60th birthday, because I'm likely to be somewhere far away from partiers and noise in an undisclosed location.